Life gives everyone a certain number of chances. It's funny how people waste them thinking there will always be more. They treated your forgiveness like a renewable resource, your patience like an endless well they could keep drawing from. One more lie, one more betrayal, one more "I'm sorry" that meant nothing. They got comfortable with your grace, took your presence for granted, assumed you'd always be there to give them another shot. Poor planning on their part, really. They never noticed how each one more chance was wearing away at something vital inside you. Slow deaths happen in silence. Nobody heard the sound of your love dying, one broken promise at a time. They didn't see how each disappointment was like another nail in the coffin of your feelings for them. Maybe they thought your silence meant acceptance. Maybe they mistook your patience for weakness. Or maybe they were just too busy taking you for granted to notice you were slipping away, one untold truth at a time. Either way, they kept playing their games, not realizing the game was about to end. Between the last time you fought for them and the moment you decided to walk away, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning struck. No bells rang. Just a quiet moment when your heart finally said, enough. Like a glass that's been filled drop by drop, you reached your limit without any warning signs they could see. That's the thing about last chances. You often don't know it's the last one until it's already happened. They pushed their luck one too many times, played their hand too carelessly, thinking they'd always get another deal. The human heart has limits, even if it takes years to find them. Each broken promise, each betrayal, each moment of disrespect was like another brick in the wall between you and them. They didn't see the wall rising, didn't notice it getting thicker, stronger, higher. They were too busy thinking of their next excuse, their next lie, their next, "it won't happen again." But while they were crafting their stories, you were quietly building your escape route. By the time they realized something was different, you were already gone in all the ways that mattered. Writing someone off isn't always a decision. Sometimes it's just the last page of a story that's been ending for a long time. You didn't wake up one morning planning to cut them out of your life. It happened slowly, then all at once. Like autumn turning to winter, like day fading to night. They kept acting like the sun would never set on their chances with you, right up until darkness fell. And when it did, when that final moment came, they were still standing there with their excuses in hand, wondering what happened to all their tomorrows. Nothing teaches consequences quite like an empty space where someone used to be. They got used to you being there, their safety net, their backup plan, their guaranteed second chance. Now they're learning what it means to lose something they never thought they could lose. Funny how people don't realize what they had until they're staring at where it used to be. They're finally understanding that some things, once broken, can't be fixed with simple sorry and empty promises. Every one day they promised you turned into their last day with you. All those times they said they'd change tomorrow, do better next time, try harder in the future. They were spending their chances like money they thought would never run out. But what they didn't understand was that each broken promise was buying them something they didn't want, your permanent absence. They invested in their own loss, one disappointment at a time, and now they're living on the returns. Through all their games and manipulations, they forgot one crucial thing. You were watching, learning, growing stronger. While they were busy taking you for granted, you were quietly evolving into someone who didn't need their approval anymore. Someone who could walk away without looking back. They thought they knew all your moves, had you all figured out. They never saw the plot twist coming, the one where you became the author of your own story instead of a character in theirs. Endings don't always announce themselves with dramatic music and closing credits. Sometimes they sneak in through the back door of your heart, quiet as a shadow, certain as sunrise. That last chance they wasted. It didn't come with warning bells or flashing lights. It looked just like all the other chances they'd burned through. But this one was different. This time, when they reached for another opportunity, they found only empty air where your forgiveness used to be. These days, they're probably telling themselves stories about how you'll come back, how this is just another phase, how they'll get one more chance to make things right. Let them. Because while they're busy rewriting history in their minds, you're busy writing your future. One where their chapter is finally, permanently closed. Water falls from your eyes, and they think they've won. They see your tears as weakness, proof that they got under your skin, evidence that they still have power over you. But they don't understand what those tears really mean. Each drop is proof that your heart still works, that you can still feel deeply, that you haven't let this harsh world turn you to stone. Those tears aren't your weakness. They're your strength. They show you've kept something pure in a world that tries to make everything dirty. Late at night, when pain hits hardest and tears flow freely, remember something important. Crying doesn't make you soft. It makes you real. Those tears washing down your face, they're cleaning out the poison they left behind. Every drop is carrying away their lies, their manipulation, their attempts to make you think you're nothing. You're not crying because you're weak. You're crying because you're strong enough to still feel, to still care, to still believe in something better than what they showed you. Under the weight of heartbreak, diamonds form from pressure. Those tears you're trying to hide, they're not washing away your strength. They're watering the seeds of your growth. Like rain cleaning city streets, they wash away the dirt others left behind. But here's the trick. You can let those tears clean you without letting them drown you. You can feel deeply without letting those feelings pull you under. You can keep your heart soft without letting it get stepped on. Some people see a pure heart as a target, thinking they can dump their darkness into your light. They mistake kindness for weakness, empathy for naivety, hope for foolishness. They try to pour their poison into your clean water, thinking they can make you as toxic as them. But here's what makes you different. You can feel their poison without becoming poisonous. You can witness their darkness without losing your light. You can experience their chaos without letting it become your story. Beyond the surface of tears, strength runs deep like underground rivers. Your ability to still cry, to still feel, to still care, that's not your weakness. That's your superpower. In a world where so many people have become hard and cold, you've kept something warm and real alive inside you. But keeping that warmth doesn't mean letting yourself get burned. Keeping that softness doesn't mean letting yourself get crushed. You can be both soft and strong, like water that's gentle enough to nurture flowers, but powerful enough to cut through stone. Standing in the rain of your own emotions, you learn something powerful. Feeling everything doesn't mean you have to accept everything. You can acknowledge pain without letting it move in. You can understand hurt without making it your home You can witness someone's darkness without letting it dim your light. Those tears you cry, they're not just sadness leaving your body, they're wisdom entering your soul. Each drop teaches you where your boundaries need to be stronger, where your walls need to be higher. Deep in the quiet moments between tears, clarity comes like dawn after darkness. You start to see how your pure heart isn't a weakness to be protected. It's a strength to be preserved. Like a clean river that can carry away dirt without becoming dirty, you can experience others' toxicity without becoming toxic. You can witness their hatred without losing your ability to love. You can see their bitterness without letting it take root in your soil. Your tears chart a map of everything you've survived while keeping your heart intact. Each drop marks a moment when you could have chosen bitterness, but chose growth instead. When you could have picked hatred, but stuck with love. When you could have gone dark, but stayed in the light. That's not weakness. That's the kind of strength most people never find. The strength to stay soft in a hard world, to keep hoping in a cynical age, to maintain purity in a polluted time. Moving through this world with an open heart feels dangerous, like walking through a storm carrying an unprotected flame. People will try to blow it out, thinking your light makes their darkness too visible. They'll try to convince you that feeling deeply is foolish, that caring genuinely is naive, that keeping your heart pure is pointless. But your tears prove them wrong every time, showing that you can feel everything without letting it corrupt you. Experience pain without letting it change your essence. Those drops weren't just sadness falling from your eyes. They were the last chances slipping through their fingers. They thought your pure heart meant you'd always be there, always forgive, always give another chance. Instead, that purity helped you recognize when something was too toxic to keep in your life. Pain has a strange way of becoming comfortable, like an old chair that's bad for your back, but feels like home. When you're in it for so long, it becomes normal. You learn its shape, its weight, its daily rhythms. But healing? Healing means change. It means moving muscles that have gotten stiff, straightening bones that grew crooked, facing truths you've been hiding from. Sometimes staying wounded feels easier than going through the fire of getting better. At least the wound is familiar. Healing is like walking into the unknown. Doctors know something most people don't. Setting a broken bone hurts more than breaking it. The same is true for broken hearts and broken trust. When something breaks, your body goes into shock, numbing the worst of it. But healing? That's when you feel everything. Every small movement brings fresh pain. Every step toward better reminds you of what went wrong. Every attempt to trust again opens up scars you thought had closed. The wound was just the beginning. The real pain comes in putting yourself back together. Memories hit different during healing. That song you used to love now feels like a punch to the gut. That restaurant you enjoyed now tastes like ashes. Those photos you kept make your hands shake. These aren't just triggers. They're your mind's way of rewiring itself, processing what happened. Each flash of pain is really a lesson being learned, a pattern being broken, a new path being formed. But knowing that doesn't make it hurt any less. Sometimes it makes it hurt more, because now you understand exactly what you're losing. Cleaning out infected wounds stings worse than getting them. Think about it. When you get hurt, there's just that one moment of pain. But cleaning it out, that's minutes, hours, days of deliberately touching the sore spots. That's what healing from betrayal feels like. You have to look at every lie they told, examine every red flag you ignored, face every warning sign you missed. It's like cleaning out a wound with alcohol. Necessary, but horrible. Each truth burns worse than the original lies did. Inside your mind, healing feels like renovation, tearing down walls, ripping up floors, exposing everything to fresh air and light. The process is messy, loud, and painful. The house you built your life in suddenly feels unlivable. Everything's out of place. Nothing feels right. You keep stumbling over memories you thought you dealt with, finding damage in places you thought were fine. Some days you wonder if it would have been better to live with the broken parts than go through this chaos of fixing them. Watching other people live their normal lives while you're healing feels like being underwater. Everything's muffled, distant, moving at a different speed than you. They're laughing, planning futures, falling in love, while you're still learning how to trust your own judgment again. Every step feels heavy. Every decision seems huge. Every interaction takes more energy than it should. Healing isn't just painful. It's exhausting. It's like running a marathon with wounds that haven't closed yet. Through the fog of recovery, simple things become mountains to climb. Getting out of bed, answering texts, smiling at strangers. Tasks that used to be automatic now require conscious effort, like you're learning to walk again after an accident. Your brain remembers how things used to be and rebels against the new normal you're trying to create. It's like your whole system is fighting against the medicine it needs, making the cure feel worse than the disease. Changes rip through your life like a tornado when you're really healing. Friendships end because you can't pretend anymore. Habits die because they remind you of them. Places become off limits because they hold too many memories. The pain isn't just in what happened. It's in watching your whole world reshape itself around their absence. Every change feels like another small death, another loss to process, another wound that needs to heal. Between who you were and who you're becoming, there's a wasteland of pain that can't be skipped. You have to walk through it step by step, feeling every rock under your feet, facing every monster that jumps out at you. The person you were when you got hurt can't be the person who heals from it. You have to become someone new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who knows better. And that transformation burns like a fever, breaking, like muscles tearing, to grow stronger. They never understood that when they broke your trust, they weren't just creating a wound. They were starting a transformation they couldn't control. This healing, this painful rebirth into someone stronger, it's their last gift to you, though they never meant to give it. Each spike of pain, each difficult change, each moment of growth is leading you further from who you were when they knew you. Think back to all those moments when breathing felt too heavy, when tomorrow seemed impossible, when giving up looked like the only option left. Remember how your hands shook, how your heart felt too broken to beat, how your mind whispered that you couldn't make it through. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Those moments didn't break you. They built you. Every time you thought, I can't do this, and did it anyway, you were proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Your reflection in the mirror tells a story of survival that most people can't read. They see your smile, your style, the surface you show the world. But you? You see every battle you've won, every storm you've weathered, every time you picked yourself up when no one else would. That person looking back at you, they're unbeatable. Not because they never fall, but because they always find a way to rise again. Start looking at yourself the way you'd look at someone you're proud of, because that's exactly who you are. The greatest love story isn't found in romance novels. It's written in the way you learn to choose yourself. It's in those moments when you start saying no to things that hurt you, when you stop accepting less than you deserve, when you finally realize that being alone is better than being with people who make you feel lonely. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. Like a flower turning towards sunlight, you're just growing in the direction that helps you bloom. Walking away becomes easier when you're walking toward yourself. All those people who didn't value you, they weren't rejecting you. They were showing they weren't ready for someone of your caliber. It's like having a diamond and trying to trade it for plastic beads. The problem isn't with the diamond, it's with people who don't understand its worth. You're not losing anything when the wrong people leave. You're gaining the space for the right ones to find you. Each step away from toxic connections takes you closer to peace within yourself. Stop trying to convince people to love you right. Stop trying to teach them how to treat you better. Stop trying to prove your worth to those who don't have the capacity to see it. The moment you start treating yourself like someone worthy of love, respect, and loyalty is the moment others start seeing it too. But here's the beautiful part. By then, their opinion won't matter as much anymore. Somewhere between the tears and triumphs, you discover a truth that changes everything. You are complete on your own. Not half waiting for someone to make you whole. Not a rough draft waiting for someone else's edits. You're the full story, the whole picture, the entire masterpiece. Let that sink in. Let it change how you walk, how you talk, how you allow others to treat you. When you truly believe in your own completeness, watching others walk away feels less like loss and more like cleaning house. Healing yourself creates a glow that makes some people uncomfortable. They're used to your wounds, your self-doubt, your need for their approval. When you start loving yourself, they act like you've changed, and they're right. You have changed. You've grown into someone who knows their value isn't up for debate. Someone who understands that hard to love often means unwilling to accept less than they deserve. Let them be uncomfortable. Their comfort isn't your responsibility anymore. Moving through life with unshakable self-love changes the game entirely. Suddenly, you're not auditioning for roles in other people's lives. You're not trying to convince anyone you're worthy of their time. You're not shrinking yourself to make others feel bigger. Instead, you're standing in your full power, taking up all the space you deserve, letting your light shine without apology. And yes, that light might blind some people. Let them wear sunglasses or look away. Deep within the quiet moments of solitude, a new kind of confidence grows. It's not loud or showy. It doesn't need to be. It's the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you've survived every bad day, every heartbreak, every setback life has thrown at you. It's the peace of understanding that while relationships may end, you'll always have yourself. That's a special kind of love story, the one where you become your own safe harbor, your own best friend, your own biggest supporter. Today, they're learning what happens when someone chooses themselves over empty promises and half-hearted love. They assumed your self-doubt would keep you hanging on, that your fear of being alone would make you settle for less. But they didn't see you falling in love with yourself, didn't notice you becoming whole on your own. Now they're just another lesson in your story of becoming. A reminder that sometimes losing someone forever is the best thing they could do for your growth.